Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the worst thieves countries in the world in 2025. It is a presentation and not a discussion. I will explain you why in a while. You know, in general, there is no official list of thief country. And most of the time, there are various and numerous lists of poor country, richest country, rogue country, criminal countries, and so on. Those lists are most of the time not unique simply because the criteria and considerations are often variable or highly depending on the prevailing climate or depending on where you stand. If you are in Russia or in US, you probably not see raw country with the same eyes. But this list of worst thief country in 2025 is unique because it is according to the beer mastery base of thief, of banditry. And this is, I will say, the unique Paul Biya legacy that have been displayed to the world in this 2025. This list is also unique because of the methodology. It is very simple. We Cameroonians have shown in this year 2025 that Paul Biya is a thief, the oldest thief operating in this world. And based on this criteria, we consider that anyone who helps a thief is a thief. That is the basic principle of this list. So first, let us recall why Paul Biya is a standard for thief leader in this year 2025. You know, during the election in 2025 in Cameroon, Issa Bakari Chiroma, the president Issa Bakari Chiroma, crushed Paul Biya so badly that Biya cried everything to change the result of this election. It was almost impossible, and not it was, it is impossible to cope with the gap between Issa Chiroma Bakari and Paul Biya. Paul Biya tried the usual tools as corruption, but it did fail. He tried to manipulate the bailout, but he failed. He tried to make some fraud, but he failed because the gap was too big. He finally resigned himself to most of his best asset, thief. And that is what happened. And Paul Biya is still the election on daylight. In this 2025, Paul Biya is still the party of the President Anise Ekane, and finally kill him. He's still the candidacy of President Maurice Kamto, and finally he is now trying to steal the victory of President Issa Chiroma Bakari. By doing so, Paul Biya have set a critical standard for thief leader or thief state. Paul Biya is seen today as an iconic figure of a thief. Just like when you mention pyramid, people are thinking about Egypt. When you say Great Wall, people will think about China. If you say the State of Liberty, people will think about New York, USA. When you say thief, people think about Paul Biya. Or if you say Paul Biya, people think about thieves. So it is known that who helped the thief is a thief. An accomplice is like being the thief itself. It is the accomplice who make the thief. So if you admit that Paul Biya has won the presidential election in this year 2025 in Cameroon, then you comply with what we call the Paul Biya legacy or the Paul Biya thief master-base, then in that case, you are a thief. It's as simple as that. So before I give you the list of those who have recognized the brilliant victory of Paul Biya during this election, that means the list of thief country or thief leader, let me bring in some warning so that no one is unaware of it and claims later that they did not know. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that the world is complex. The relationship between two countries, known as bilateral relations, involve complex political, economic, and cultural interactions. So you can have relationship with a thief country and even with the chief as Biya. That doesn't make you a thief. But if you help a thief or support him in his banditry activities, then you are a thief. I think it's the same. The same goes with what we call coup d'etat. There are countries around the world where the leader came to power by coup d'etat. The coup d'etat is not supported, is not accepted, but you have to deal with that leader because that is relationship between countries. So that's why today, if you are a leader and you recognize the brilliant victory of Paul Biya, who have shown on daylight that he is the oldest chief operating, then you are a chief. So no one is supposed to be ignorant of the law. And the law here is that if you support a chief, you are a chief. And this means that a country cannot escape this list as long as it endorses Paul Biya's Greek act of banditry. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to stress here that it is not about one is more a thief than another. No, this list is just about the legacy of Paul Biya. So the legacy of Paul Biya is not a scale like Celsius or Fahrenheit scale or Richter scale for a earthquake. No, it is not a quantitative measure. The Paul Biya masterpiece it is like a stamp on your back indicating if you are a thief country or not. So if you get this stamp on your back, then you are a thief country. So this is not a comparison or I don't know how to say it, a ranking list. No, not at all. It is just a stamp. Now, quickly, you have to realize that country like Gabon with Olingingema, Chad with Kakadebi, Republic of Central Africa with Touadéra, the Guinea Equatorial with Obiangema Basogo are among the list of chief country or chief leader. We also have Guinea of Dumboya, Mohamed Dumboya. You also have Niger of Tiani and Republic of Congo of Sassou Nguesso. Then at last we have two special countries, China with Xi Jinping and Russia with Putin. These are the list of the countries that have recognized the brilliant victory of Paul Biya in this election 2025. That he is trying to steal because he have not succeeded. And the question that people are asking themselves is why these leaders have taken the risk to bring their country in the list of the worst thief country of the world. What we can say is simply that these guys are dreaming to have eternal rule of power, just like Paul Biya. They are also claiming no interference in the affair of states. And this country are also very interested by the way Paul Biya is managing Cameroon. That means no transparency, regarding the opacity and the bandit-like management. This is what we can say about the risk, why this country are taking those risks. Nevertheless, we're still thinking that Russia and China were a big surprise to be found in this list. And I'm wondering if those those Russian diplomats and Chinese diplomats who are in Cameroon, who live in Cameroon, who have seen how Paul Biya tried to steal the victory of President Issa Chiroma Bakari, have left their leader into this mess. It is still something that I don't understand. I really like President Putin and President Xi and what they are doing. But seeing these two leaders and their country in this list is something that is really very disturbing. Anyway, I would like to mention that I really appreciate how the West managed to escape this big trap set by this notorious killer and this notorious bandit that is called Paul Biya. US, European Union, France, Germany, England, they managed maybe to recognize that, yeah, the swearing-in of Paul Biya was a more spectacular than in the US swearing presidency, but they did not congratulate him for his brilliant victory. And this is really what I was saying about a putsch. You cannot recognize that someone did a magnificent putsch, then you are a putschist. If you recognize that somebody stole the election and consider this as a victory, then you are a thief. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to stop here and recalling that this list, it is not a ranking, it is a stamp. Your only way out of this list is to recognize that Paul Biya he stole the victory of President Issa Chiroma Bakari. As far as you stick on your position of saying that he won the election, that his victory was brilliant, you are a thief country, you are a thief state, and your leader is a thief. I would like to thank anyone who followed me up to here and ask, please, if you have any information about a country that recognized the victory of Paul Biya in this year 2025 during the presidential election, please let us know. We will put the name of that country and that leader in this list. In 1 month to come, 1 or 2 months, we will update this list to make sure that those who recognize the brilliant victory of Biya are in the list of the worst thieves country of the world. Thank you for listening and share, please.